Hello and welcome to this week's Empowerment Hour here at Calon FM. Good morning to each and every one of you. How are you doing this week? Am I still a recording even though it's going out at the same time as Empowerment Hour goes out or used to go out live? I absolutely am. And today, my guest is myself. It's just you and me today. So how are you? What can I say? I'm Denise Oliver. So I've been here at Calon FM now for well over 6 years. Certainly as Empowerment Hour, it's been 6 years. And I've been at Calon FM before that with a show called Feed Me. And Feed Me was all about anything that made us feel good. So anything that was a stress relief or anything like that. And actually Empowerment Hour is similar. I still have similar guests. I love to have different therapists come on and talk about what they do, especially if it's not something I've experienced, and anything that anyone wants to talk about whereby you can tune in and work out if what this person is talking about is in some way going to bring your stress levels down, your anxiety levels down, so that you can live the best life that you could possibly have, is what this show is about. So anything in any way that may empower you. Now, if you're someone who's listening and you are a therapist, a coach, a counsellor, you're filling people's tax returns, whatever that is, that actually helps that person in some way to bring their stress levels down, and you'd like to be a guest on my show going forward, then please be in touch. You can contact me via Denise Oliver at divaempowerment.co.uk and just say that you've listened to this show and you'd be interested in being a guest on it. I'd love to hear from you. What else? Where else can you get me? I'm on social media. I have an Instagram account, My Diva Life. I'm on Facebook as Denise P. Oliver. So the P is my middle name, Patricia, and that distinguishes me from any other Denise Oliver that's on Facebook in particular. I have a Twitter account, don't use it. I'm on LinkedIn, don't really use it. So those are the two social media accounts you can find me on. And then there's my website, which I've just said is Diva Empowerment. You could also get in touch via the Calon FM website as well, if you wish. And Amy, our wonderful station manager, who edits my show and puts all the music in and makes sure it's radio worthy and it's going to go out and sound great on the airwaves. Amy will also pass on messages to me. So that's us this week. It's just me and you. So what have I got coming up on the show? Well, I'm going to talk about the new fridge freezer I got this week and what happened with that. That's quite a story in itself. I'm going to talk about vitamin D. And there's a lot of research being done with vitamin D and how a lack of it might be causing some of the COVID-19 issues that people have been experiencing. So their immune system's not being as robust as they would like. What else is happening? Football. Let's have a little chat, only a little one, not much, about football. And Access bars. You know how much I love Access, so I just want to reiterate the benefits of it. And I'll do that as the show goes on. So stay with me. I'm with you for the next hour, and I'd love it if at any time you wish to comment, you get in touch with me and let me know how you're doing, what your life is like, because we're coming out of lockdown and things are changing, and how that is for you. I tell you what, I'm going to leave the intro at that. We'll have some music and I'll be back shortly. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour. I'm Denise Oliver and I'm here, just me, with you today. Wow, how does it get any better than this? So I mentioned that I now have a new fridge freezer. So what happened to the old one? Well, it's one of those big American fridge freezers, you know, side by side, half a freezer, bigger size fridge. And the night before it really took on a life of its own, or should I say a death of its own, my husband said to me, "Do you think this is a bit noisy?" And I have tinnitus and have done for years and years. So I'm so used to the noises in my head that the noise that the fridge was making sounded like the noises in my head. And I was like, no, I don't think so. And I couldn't tune one out from the other. And so didn't think anything of it. And he's like, oh, I'm sure it's very noisy. And we just was like, okay, but the temperatures look like they're okay on the facing that we can see. Let's just see how it is tomorrow. I got up first. Came downstairs, went into the kitchen to get myself a drink, and the fridge was screaming, and I mean screaming. The noise was unbelievable. It's like, oh, whoa, that's not in my head. I can actually hear that. I went back upstairs, got my drink, went back upstairs and said to my husband, "You're right, it's really noisy. Happy Father's Day." He was like, great. So to all those of you guys out there who have been enjoying your Father's Day, I hope you had a great time. My poor husband then spent most of the morning and well into the afternoon doing what he could around this fridge freezer, which eventually meant him ordering a new one. Bless it, this fridge freezer is considered by today's standard to be old. It was 11 years old on Sunday. On Father's Day, it was 11 years old. We know that because my husband found the original receipt for it. What we did was we went on, as so many people do these days, we went onto YouTube and we looked up everything to do with noisy fridge freezers, American style. And some people were saying get a hairdryer onto certain parts of it. My husband did that. Make sure that you vacuum out all the fluff and the dust that gets caught in the back of it. He did that. It was still the same. I was like, what about we switch it off and switch it on again? That was the fatal blow, I'm afraid. That's what killed it off. Oh, bless it. Yeah, we tried that. We switched it off. Well, I switched it off and switched it back on again. And it did nothing for quite some time. And then it sort of ground itself back up again into some sort of motion. By which time the readout on the front of the fridge freezer was telling me that the fridge temperature was going up, as was the freezer temperature. Now, we're in this situation, aren't we, where we have stockpiled. Now, I wouldn't normally have quite so much food in the fridge and the freezer, except I'm not shopping for bits and pieces every day. I am sticking to the once a week shop. So it's really full. It's like, got to do something. This is dying on me right now. And then husband went off to look up the new, how much a new fridge freezer would cost, where we could get it from, how quickly we could get one delivered, because of course, you know, times are very different at the moment. And I have to say that AO have been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They had the style we wanted at the price we had the money for. They could deliver it the next day. So I'm recording this on a Monday. It's already here, and we only had the problem yesterday. Amazing service, two gorgeous guys, so helpful, happy, wonderful, were able to deliver this, and the old one was taken away and all the rubbish was taken away. It's all fitted in place. They've just been brilliant. Highly recommend AO, and I'll be saying this on their website later today as well. So I recognised that the what did I do? Oh, I remember. My husband went off to look them up, and while he was doing that, and he was on his laptop in his office, I wanted to get some, because by this time we'd been at this for hours. This was like 3.5 hours after we'd got out of bed that we were still messing with this, and no one had had any food. It's like, right, you go and organise this. I'll organise some food for us all to eat. I opened the fridge and out billowed this blue acrid smoke. It's like, oh dear, that's not a good sign, is it? And I could tell that it was so much warmer in there, and it was like, my daughter went, oh, it's gone from being a fridge to being a cupboard. It's like, yeah, got to sort this out. So I went and told my husband. He came in through to the kitchen. He was like, oh my God, that smells awful. He said, right, I'm just going to go with AO, because they're still saying that the particular style that's very like the one we've got, same type of model, but a new version, they can deliver tomorrow. I.e. today, we've got it. It's all plugged in. It's doing its thing. And then what happened? Oh, and then of course we had all the issue of a freezer full of food. What could we do with that? Bless my next door neighbour, Lorraine Chesters, who's the most phenomenal woman, who is just one of those go-to people who is able to sort of sort everyone out. And she was like, oh, I know a freezer that's pretty empty down the road. I've got the keys to one of our neighbours' houses. We could use her freezer. I know it won't be a problem. And that's what we did. So there we were with bags of freezer food. I took a truck that was clean and filled that with freezer food. My daughter had a wheelie trolley into my husband's car, just a few houses down, into that house, filled up the freezer, which thankfully I'm going to be able to go and get all the contents of and refill our freezer tonight. So that's a little story around how COVID really could have prevented so much, but the guys were great. We could keep a 2-meter distance with getting this freezer in the kitchen. They used, apart from touching a table, to put the instructions out on how to fit everything together, you know, having to find little screws to make sure the handles on the fridge doors were all in place, things like that. They touched nothing of ours. It was brilliant. They just knew what they had to do. And they came and went with the minimum of fuss and flap, and they just got the job done. Took everything away they had to take away. So massive shout out to AO and their guys and the fridge that's now in place. So perhaps if you've had a story that you'd like to share, then you can do through social media. You can contact me there. So after that little incident, shall we say, which is the most recent thing to happen to me, we'll take a break for some music. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour, and I'm Denise Oliver, your host on her own, having a chat with you today. How does it get any better than this? Now, those of you who know me know how much I love access consciousness, and how does it get any better than this is from access consciousness. It's one of those tools that when I use it, when I'm asking how does it get any better than this, the next step shows up for me. And that's the benefit of it. So the tool is, how does it get any better than this? It's from a whole modality called access consciousness, which has developed over 30 years, thanks to the wonderful guy who was gifted this, Gary Douglas. He started out on his own. He's now a massive brand and team and business all over the world. What I love about access is that what is it? How can I put this? They're so into empowering you to know that you can deal with anything if you use the tools. The tools are very different to anything else I've ever come across. I credit them with giving me my life back in a way that no other modality did. I got so far through my journey with ill health that I plateaued with chronic fatigue and got used to it. I still lived my life. I didn't stop doing stuff, but I knew there were other things I had to have in place at that time. And the tools of access just really started to change my energy. How does it get any better than this was something that I was saying to myself yesterday when we were having the fridge drama. And it just stops it from becoming a stress thing. The next step shows up, the next step shows up, the next step shows up. So when the smoke comes out of the fridge freezer, it's like, well, how does it get any better than this? Okay, we've got to sort the food out. what do we put the food into? Where do we put the food until we've got the new fridge freezer? And it's like I get shown pictures of what I can do. Walk into this room, you'll find something. Okay, cool. What is it? How does it get any better than this? Next thing, okay, so all this food from this layer can go on this tray. That don't need to worry about that. Or this food could do with being kept cooler. Okay, where can I put that? How many freezer packs have I got? What can I do with all this stuff? And so on and so on. And how does it get any better than this is one of the first tools of access consciousness. When you are having the best day ever, how does it get any better than this? Because, hey, universe, I want this and more. Show me, how does it get any better than this? So with this whole COVID-19 coronavirus, every day, how does it get any better than this? Show me, what information do I require? I mean, I have to say that for a long time, I haven't watched the news. I haven't needed to, because somehow I know where I need to be, what's going to work for me. And what would life be like for you if you knew that as well? What could you do with how does it get any better than this that could make your life bigger, better, more empowered, so that you know what you know and you put that into practice. You get out there and you live your life, and other people look at you and your life and they're like, whoa, what is that? How are they doing it? How are they living their life in such a way that they I don't just appear to be happy all the time. I am happy all the time. I still have challenges, and that's the other part to how does it get any better than this? When you have something that comes up and challenges you, like a fridge breaking down, a fridge freezer breaking down, well, how does it get any better than this? What else is possible here that I haven't considered before? And that's when I just find, I go on social media, I go on the internet, and I just look for American style fridge freezers, and I'm just clicking on different websites, but actually one pings more than the other. It's AO. And it's like, oh, it's on here. I know it's on this website. Okay, what else is possible? How does it get any better than this? And then the style that we want for the price we want to pay can be delivered the next day. How does that happen? Okay, universe, show me. How does it get any better than this? What else can I say about it? I mean, there's a whole load of stories around how does it get any better than this in access consciousness. And what I invite you to is to try using it. Just practice with it every day. Sometimes when you start out, you won't quite believe that just saying a few words is going to create any difference for you. But I just recommend you try it. What have you got to lose? Just try it. We're moving into a new norm now, whatever that looks like. So how does it get any better than that? How does it? You can always let me know that you're trying it. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. There are times when I'm doing a radio show and I've no idea who might be listening. And then friends from donkey's years ago come up to me and go, oh, I listened to your radio show. Thank you for doing it. It's great. It's like, oh, right. Okay. I had no idea that you were listening in. So it's great to have the feedback. So if you have got any feedback that you'd like to give to me, I'd love to hear it. We're going to take another break and we will be back shortly. Yay, welcome back. It's Empowerment Hour with me, Denise Oliver. And I'm on my own. I'm talking to myself through Zoom, the great platform that so many people have been using and are so grateful for during these times when we're still social distancing and spending a lot of our time at home. But things are changing, aren't they? Restrictions are being lifted. People are out and about more. I've noticed that people are actually wanting to be closer to each other. So I get that soon the 2 meters will come down to 1 meter. And it's all down to risk assessment. That's what the government are doing. They don't quite know what the best distance is. And that's why different countries choose different distances. It's a risk assessment based on what they consider the human nature of people will be when they're outdoors. Now, you may have been very strict and kept to 2 meters, you may not. And I'm not here to judge you. It's not a right or wrong from my point of view. Just stay aware, as the government are saying, if you get to not go close to people, if you get to circumnavigate a crowd in some way, do it, because somehow that's protecting you. Trust you and your knowing. And how does it get any better than this? So I mentioned that football's back, whoop, whoop, and there's a lot of games now on TV. And I just wondered what you think of it. Do you like football? Don't you like football? I love a good game, but some of the games are so boring. And I wonder whether that's because there isn't the crowd there to rally behind the footballers. And sometimes it just looks like a bit of a practice kickabout. And it's like, come on, guys, you're back. They're not match fit, which is why they're having a lot of water breaks. And they've got the opportunity to put on more substitutes at the moment on the football pitch, because they just haven't had the practice that they require to stay so fit, so healthy. I mean, I couldn't run the length of a football pitch, like up and down it for 90 minutes. Good Lord. And I certainly don't have the physique of them either, which there are times when I look at them and it's like, oh, what would it take to have a little bit more muscle definition and a little bit less fat? But, I'm working on it. It's a constant challenge. And how does it get any better than this is one of the things I constantly ask my body. And I talk to it a lot. And what would it like? But back to the football. It's interesting for me to see how when a goal is scored, how difficult it is for the players not to run up and congratulate the guy who scored the goal, full on, hug him and really show their appreciation. The fist bumping, the elbow bumping, it's just not the same. And watching them attempting this, oh my goodness, they just, they're struggling, and they are coming together in groups and they are doing what they're doing. One of the things that does encourage me that they are all going to be okay is the amount of testing that footballers, sports people have in order to do their job. Playing football is their job. This is what they love to do. This is what they crave. This is what they desire. This is what they're good at. They want to get back on the field. They don't want to be stuck at home. Training, keeping fit, being in tip-top condition and getting out there and playing football is their gift. This is what they know, and they haven't fully been able to do any of that. But let's see how they get on. Obviously, here in the UK, we've watched the German Bundesliga and how they've done it, and we're copying that because two nations that just love their football. And let's see how they get on. I'm all for it. I'm all for them getting out there and doing what they're doing. And I do look forward to the day when the crowd is back, because it does make a difference. Your support of, if you're into football or whatever sport you're into, of your sport is really, really important right now. So I encourage you to do it in whatever way you can, and just let everyone in sport know that for whatever it is, that you're there with them and you wish you could be with them and watching them and cheering them on. And I think more people who let other people know that they appreciate everything they're trying to do just creates a different energy, and we just gets us out of the energy of doom and gloom, really, and the fear that we have around getting back out there. We have to get back out there at some point. So for me, sooner rather than later now, I'm ready to get back out there, and I hope to see my clients in the not too distant future. I'm looking at ways of doing this slowly, so that people can build up their what's the word I'm looking for? Their okayness. Let's put it that way, with what's going on. Okay, enough about football and me bigging that up. let's take a break. Hi there, welcome back. Who knew it was so easy to talk to yourself? Hi, I'm Denise Oliver. This is Empowerment Hour. I'm here on my own doing this recording. I nearly said in the studio. I'm not in the studio, I'm doing a recording. And I'd like to say at this point, thank you to Amy, our station manager at Calon, who has really kept the show on the road. Constant emails to everyone to just keep geeing us up and keeping us going in this time. And the fact that she's been so prepared to take recordings and make them radio I say radio worthy. I mean that in the sense that she checks the levels, she adds in the music that you hear. Our choice, the people, myself and the guests that are on my show, and she creates the show that you can hear every week. And I'm so grateful to her. So what else can I talk about here? So one of the things that I've been keeping myself occupied with really is updating a lot of the nutrition information that I have. And I noticed that one of the things that has come out through COVID-19 is that people are looking at the vitamin profiles of the people who have contracted COVID, and also the people who have died from it, because as you know, the population who are black skinned, who are Asian, those people, actually it's higher in them. So one of the things that's been looked at is vitamin D. And vitamin D is a very, very common vitamin that you can buy. It's very inexpensive. You can ask to have your vitamin D profile done to find out what your level is. And so many people have a very, very low level of vitamin D. Why is that? Well, if you're black skinned, then you have a very high level of something called melatonin in your skin. It's part of being black skinned. It's part of where you were originated from, where your ancestors are from, because you would have been from parts of the world where you needed that to protect you from the sun that you were spending all your time in. In this country, we're more white skinned because we don't get the hot sun much. we get episodes of it, don't we? But we don't have it consistently, and we don't have the same daylight length in order for the sun to touch our skin to create vitamin D. And guess what else has happened in years? Skin cancer has gone up because we've overdone our exposure to sunlight. We've overdone our exposure in this country to sunbeds and things like that. So rather than taking it in smaller doses and then taking protection, like covering up, going in the shade, putting on your sun cream, no, we go berserk and we lie out in the sun for hours because we don't get the regular exposure to it. Regular exposure to sunlight is what creates vitamin D in our body. We can find it in certain foods, but not in very many. The sun hits our skin at a certain angle at certain times of the year. Winter sun doesn't have the same effect. It just doesn't. So if you want to get sunlight on your skin and it actually create vitamin D, you need to go to a part of the world where you can sunbathe and you can get it on a large exposure of your skin, say your back, for instance. And this isn't a vanity thing. Getting vitamin D on your skin, getting the sunlight on your skin can create the vitamin D that takes you through the winter. If you're deficient in vitamin D, it can create all sorts of issues, one of them being a depleted immune system. So if your immune system is depleted, then something like the COVID-19 virus can really attack you and create that effect on your system where you can't fight it off. In the Asian population, they're known for covering up their skin in this country. They just don't show it. So although they've got a dark skin, somehow they don't go out in enough sunlight for it to actually have a benefit on them. So they're very vitamin D depleted. And this is what scientists are looking at. Does it have a link? And it came to me to talk about this when I was talking to my daughter earlier today, and she said, Mom, you know so much about this stuff. You've got to talk to people about it. I'm like, okay, cool. And it came up because we've been having family film nights, and my middle son, his girlfriend, her parents join us. Her mum, 5 years ago, was in a wheelchair with arthritis type symptoms, but she wasn't showing positive to anything to do with arthritis. It turned out she was vitamin D deficient. Her bones were thinning, her joints were aching, and she just generally felt unwell. And this was down to vitamin D deficiency. Her husband also got checked because they're very pale skinned and they avoid the sun and have done for years. And he was very low in it too. So now they both take high doses of vitamin D all year round and feel so much better for doing it. Now I take it, I just take it. I have like an oily mixture of it and I take it. It's so inexpensive. Why wouldn't you? So if you get that you're not someone who sunbathes, all you need to do is when the sun is out, and we've got this week, we've had a few days of it, 20 to 30 minutes on an area of your body that you expose a bit more. So all of your arms and your chest and your back, 20 to 30 minutes. You don't get to that point where you're burning. If you're burning, if you get that sensation of your skin is too prickly, move out of the sun, go in the shade. If you want to go back in the sun, say you're off to play golf, or you're doing the gardening, or you're taking your daily walk, 20 minutes without any sun cream, then put your sun cream on. I'm not saying never use sun cream. I absolutely am. I think there's a place for it, especially if you're a sun worshipper. You do want to protect your skin from the sun hitting the skin and causing skin cancer. At the same time, you need to balance having some sunshine to get that vitamin D that you require. Okay, we'll take a break and I'll be back for the final section of the show after this song. Hi there, welcome back. This is Empowerment Hour and I'm in the final session for this week. I've been here on my own. I'm Denise Oliver and I love bringing you this show. I've been doing it for years now. And all I'm going to say in this final part is I hope that you're taking good care of you, heart, mind, body and soul. I get how this weird state that the whole world has been in with this pandemic can be very stressful, anxiety inducing. You don't know what your next phase is going to be. You don't know what your next step is going to be. Just be kind to you. Be kind to you, kind to the people around you. No one can tell you what is the right or the wrong way of being in this, because no one truly knows. It'll all come out with hindsight. Such a luxury, a beautiful place to be, hindsight, but we don't have that right now. And so all I ask is that you look after your body as best you can, as best you know how, that if you can get out in a bit of sunshine, do it. Remember, vitamin D is created at this time of the year for our bodies to help the immune system and lots of other areas of the body. In fact, I want to recommend a little book. So if you are interested in finding out more about vitamin D and the effects it has and loads of things that it helps the body with, there's a book out there called The Vitamin D Revolution by Dr. Soram Khalsa, MD, American. He has a foot in both camps, both medical and naturopathic. And this book gives you the lowdown on everything possible. If you're concerned about your vitamin D levels, get them tested, especially in the light of the research that's being done right now to do with COVID-19 and how vitamin D is implicated, or low levels of it are implicated with the people, or a lot of the people who have died. This is an arm of research that's being done. And if that's the case, vitamin D is very inexpensive to buy and to take. You need 25 units is the recommended dose. You can take more than that. There tends not to be, a lot of people take much higher doses of that, especially if their body doesn't appear to regulate itself well. But that's for another day. Anyway, vitamin D, How does it get any better than this? Take care of you, be kind to you. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned to Calon FM, and I'll be back with a guest next week. Look forward to being with you then. Thank you for keep tuning in. So grateful to each and every one of you. Bye for now.